Greetings, wicked peoples. Fishie 22.8 here, and today I have part 2 of Transformers ReGeneration One. It has been 20-some-odd years since the Autobots have left Earth and returned home to CYBERTRON. In that time, much has changed. We now return to the Transformers. As the Decepticon samurai bludgeoning leaps towards Cup. I am death. What you are bludgeoning is another loose end tied up. The grizzled veteran tells the Decepticon as he avoids another blast from Galvatron in the sky above him. Whereas you, Galvatron, are just mad, bad, and dangerous to know. Cup disappears into the foliage, avoiding Galvatron's blast, when Galvatron finally makes landfall. Target lock's a nightmare, huh? This terrain, you gotta come down to my level. With Galvatron's back turned, Cup springs from his hiding place and shoves his sword clean through the spark chamber of the evil time-traveling tyrant. 2 big guns decommissioned, 1 to go, Cup tells himself, when all of a sudden a voice pauses the combat simulation as Springer walks in. Springer, figured you'd know better than to walk into an active strategy tape. I do, Cup, but we got a situation. One that doesn't involve hollow pixels and quantum emulators for a change. Anyway, Megatron had you cold. Game over. As the hologram starts fading away, Cup asks him, So, thrill me, what's the play? Standoff. 3, maybe 4 Neo-Decepticons hold up in a decom depot on Callus. As the 2 Autobots continue to walk down the corridors, Springer informs Cup of what is going on. And Cup just responds, Sounds like a job for the Wreckers.
No, out of the question.
Get it through your reinforced cranium, Ultra Magnus. We can't afford to keep thinking of this as some sort of difficult phase that will pass. These Neo-Decepticons are organized, committed, and getting bolder by the cycle. Didn't the whole orbital execution of the last Autobot kind of underline that? The grizzled Autobot veteran spits at his commander.
It did. But right here, right now, my instincts tell me our 4 hostiles are looking for a way out. So, for the time being at least, it's barter, not blitzkrieg.
This just sets off the old pickup truck. You know, more and more I wondered what happened to Cybertron's greatest warrior. We're tiptoeing around these insurgents when we should be coming down on them. Hard! Damn it, what'll it take for us to kick back?
Look, this comes direct from Optimus Prime, who re-stresses his conviction that any show of overt force will signal a recommitment of hostilities. He's committed to preserving the unified Cybertron alliance at any cost.
Storming off, Cup starts muttering to himself. Unified Cybertron alliance, what a crock! You may be able to toe that particular party line, Ultra Magnus, but I'm not sure I can. Not anymore! As Springer tells Ultra Magnus he'll try to talk some sense into Cup and follows him, Ultra Magnus reflects on the situation. That if the Autobots take hostile action, and that is enough to set off a chain reaction of violence from these dissidents, as they are called, then multiply that by the countless number of volatile chemicals, combustible gases, and caustic liquids in the immediate area. That chain reaction can send Cybertron back to its dark ages. As Soundwave is standing in the back of the crowd, he wanders off and unleashes 3 of his little cassettes.
Chop, chop, ransack, fathom. Do whatever it takes to ensure the lost helpless and inspirational brothers in arms are remembered, not as humble prisoners, but as martyrs.
The 3 little Decepticons sneak through the ventilation system and find their targets, quickly incapacitating the Autobots in the room by zapping and hitting them with acid. As 2 of them start messing with a bomb, setting it to detonate, causing all sorts of chaos. The wreckers burst in and captured them quickly. As some of the wreckers attend to the wounded, Cup and Springer attend to the bomb. We good? Far from it. This bird's arm. Some kind of drill bug deep in its innards. Perceptor, I need the emergency stand-down protocol for a Type K Warbird ballistic missile. Serial code Beta 9 Pi Epsilon Sin OX. Cup blurts out over the comms as he's underneath the bomb. As Perceptor starts digging through all his files, Cup lies at the ready underneath the bomb, ready to type in its deactivation code. Back at Optimus Prime's command center. On the contrary, I agree. Such preemptive disregard for direct orders deserves censure and reprimand. But the wreckers' trenchant action did expose a hidden danger and save countless lives. So I am inclined towards leniency. Optimus Prime tells Ultra Magnus.
It's not the end results I'm questioning, Prime, but the example it sets. A lot of my CCD cadets see Cup and the wreckers as war heroes and aspire to emulate their actions. The last thing we need is a bunch of gun-ho and have-a-go heroes.
Magnus fades away in Optimus Prime's audio receptors as he starts seeing a vision of his past coming back to haunt him.
Evil is infinite, Optimus Prime. I am coming to kill you again.
Ultra Magnus is cut off as Optimus Prime recoils in fear for no reason.
Prime, are you...
It's nothing. You were saying? Hot Rod and Cup are standing on the other side of the door from Ultra Magnus and Optimus Prime. What do you think they're saying? Like I give a hollering hoot. Strip me of rank, lock me up. It won't alter what's going on right under their olfactory apertures. I used to look up to Prime, to both of them. But since we returned to CYBERTRON, it's like they've forgotten who they are and what's really important. Prime says we get mirrored in the here and now, and so fail to see the outward trajectory of our lives, and how we're just the warp and weft of a greater whole. The grizzled veteran turns to the young Autobot with a look of disgust on his face. Sorry to burst your bubble, Hot Rod, but the bigger picture is exactly what Prime isn't seeing. Some of our greatest enemies are still at large. We should be out there hunting them down, not allowing them time to regroup, rearm, and attack. Look at Grimlock. He defied Prime, went off looking for a cure to Nucleon, the stuff that left him unable to transform, and others a mental or physical wreck. And you know what? I envy him. Because misguided or not, he's got a problem and he's doing something about it! Placing his hand on Cup, trying to calm the old vet down. I understand. I do. Headlong Hot Rod. That's what they used to call me. Well, I'm different now. Prime's mentoring has helped me see past the knee-jerk instinct to jump right in. Know what I think? The old-timer cuts off the young Hot Rod. I think Prime's lost his edge. His death and subsequent rebirth has turned a visionary leader into a blinkered, unrealistic optimist. And those years spent mentoring you are just symptomatic of him passing the buck. As Cup storms off, the words sting Hot Rod deep, whereas Ultra Magnus finally walks out of the chamber with Optimus asking, "Where's Cup?" Hot Rod just responds with, "Don't ask." Sometime later, don't assume I'm reacting in the heat of the moment. I'm not, Cup says to the wreckers. I've given this a lot of thought. Arrangements have been in place for some time now. It's just took the events of the last few solar cycles to make me realize I've put off taking action for far too long. That's why I'm going back to Earth, then Nebulos. In fact, every planet touched by the Great War, there may be no way back, but I can live with that. What I can't live with is doing nothing! I'm not expecting you to come with me. I just wanted you to know why I chose this drastic course of action. Of course, if anyone does want to tag along, I'm more than Cup's emboldened speech is cut off by every single wrecker raising their fist in unison as Springer walks up, patting Cup on the back.
What? You think we're going to sit back and let you have all the fun?
Elsewhere on Cybertron, Soundwave sits in silence when a monitor blinks on.
Soundwave. Bludgeoning. How? Never mind how I found you. Suffice to say, I have my own resources on Cybertron. Listen carefully. After many stellar cycles of patient preparation, I am almost ready to avenge our humbling defeat on Clo. I have substantive means to strike back, but a new element remains, elusive. I require you to get it for me. And in return, more than enough firepower and wholly dispensable bodies to wipe out the Autobots, once and for all.
As a massive space cruiser drifts past planet Earth, an Autobot shuttle comes flying out of its hangar.
Thanks for the ride, Burko. We owe you.
Burko just tells Cup no problem, and he will collect on that debt one day. The Cosmic Circus will be back in town in roughly 10 stellar cycles, whether they're ready or not. As the wreckers get closer to planet Earth, they power down the systems and launch several probes just in case they're not alone in the area. Waiting with anticipation, the wreckers gather around the view monitors, waiting for the video feeds to pop up from the probes. As each camera starts popping up its image, the wreckers are horrified at what they see. The once beautiful, bustling city of San Francisco, reduced to a desert. One of the jewels of Europe, Paris, reduced to ash. And Tokyo, one of the powerhouse cities of the Eastern world, reduced to nothing. With horror in his voice, Leadfoot asks what happened.
More to the point, Leadfoot. When? None of this is recent. While we were basking in our own smug complacency, Earth was dying.
Hang on. All this, it's not necessarily down, as Broadside interrupts Springer, telling him one of our probes is no longer under our control.
Then who is?
Springer questions as the probe starts flying in on one small object. As it starts coming into focus, the wreckers are horrified, as an evil voice from the past comes over the audio channels.
At last. Really? What must one do to get some attention around here?
And that has been part 2 of Transformers ReGeneration One, written by Simon Furman. Like I said in the last video, that one had a different narrative than the rest of the series. It was going back and forth between the present day and filling in everybody on what happened with the war up until this point. The rest of the series, instead of doing an issue by issue basis, I'm doing it narrative point to narrative point. What seems suspenseful and all that. You know how TV shows cut you off right when it's getting good? I'm going to kind of do that with this series, just to let you know. And with that out of the way, let's talk about this chunk of the story. This chunk of the story focuses more on Cup and his ever-growing frustration with how Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus is handling this Neo-Decepticon uprising. And yes, I know I called the Decepticons inside that base setting the missile to explode Autobots. I didn't really want to go back and re-record that chunk of the dialogue, so I just left it in with a small annotation. Optimus Prime is still recovering from his time defeating Unicron, seeing the evil entity from time to time, which is fueling his doubts that he's always had since he's become the Autobot Supreme Leader, so to speak. Which reminds me, I need to finish up Transformers Secrets and Lies, because that delves a little bit deeper into the doubts that Optimus Prime has at the beginning of the conflict, which reflects some of his actions later on. And now, to start wrapping this up, let's talk about planet Earth and its new ruler, Lord Megatron. Earth is just a ball of dust and debris and ruin. The last time the wreckers saw it, it was a beautiful planet, and in 20 years, it is now reduced to nothing but an ugly rock floating in space. And with that, I rambled for nearly 2 minutes at the end of this video, so I'm going to wrap it up in full. As always, if you have enjoyed my dub of this comic, please go out and buy a physical copy if you can. I'm not sure you can get digital copies anymore, but you can probably find a physical copy, but it might cost you a pretty penny since it's out of print. It's a good story in my opinion. I like the story and I really love the art. I love that old artwork style, which is one of the reasons why I fell in love with the Skybound titles. It looked like older artwork to me. And I know that's not for everybody. To each their own. Some people adore the IDW art. I personally didn't. I like some of the plot lines, but I didn't like a lot of the artwork. A little too stylized and pointy for my tastes. And if you've watched any of my other dubs, like the Skybound series, you can get physical and digital copies of them, and I encourage you to do so, because the people behind these comics deserve that money a hell of a lot more than me. I don't want monetization for this, because I'm technically using other people's artwork and stuff. The only thing that's mine are the voice impressions. I happily claim those. And with that, this is Fishie 22.8, logging off. Until next time, wicked peoples. Later.